Yo, what is up guys, Staleboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Alexandro Santiago defeats Nonito Donaire by a 12-round unanimous decision to win the vacant WBC bantamweight title. I have to say, going into this fight, I had seen a bit of Santiago, and Santiago to me has been one of those guys who, he's been there or thereabouts, but when he's had those step-up fights, he's not quite made it work. Like the Gary Antonio Russell fight, very close, could have gone either way. Similar to the Joe and Angahas fight, that was another fight. That was a world title fight at super flyweight, and he got a draw in that fight. So Santiago's been one of those guys. He's always been there or thereabouts. Solid fighter, good chin, you know, decent punch output, tough guy. And yeah, going into this fight, I wondered whether Donaire, despite his age, would be a bit too big, a bit too powerful. But credit to Santiago, he did box a good fight here. It has to be said, Donaire, to me, it finally looks like age is really apparent. It's been there for a few years now with Donaire, but he's still made it work for himself in recent years. But in this fight, the timing wasn't there. I felt Donaire's balance at times was really off, not in position to throw punches. Even basic things like when he was trying to throw his jab, he was throwing it out of range. And it wasn't connecting most of the time. He was landing it, don't get me wrong. And when he landed it, it was a good shot, but it was few and far in between. And yeah, you saw that when Donaire would try to load up with a left hook, he would miss. Again, it just wasn't quite there. You could see that he saw the openings, but his body just wasn't responding to what his eyes and mind were seeing. Nevertheless, Santiago boxed a good fight. He maintained good activity throughout this fight. I liked how he was varying his game plan. On the outside, I felt Santiago was getting the better of Donaire with his jab. Santiago was more active with a jab and, more importantly, more accurate. And also, Santiago would at times pressure Donaire. He would go in on Donaire and land 3 to 4 punch combinations. And again, this really showed Donaire's age. I know Donaire's never been a defensive mastermind, but when Santiago put 3 or 4 shots together, it felt like Donaire's reactions just weren't there, and he was getting caught by those shots. You know, getting out-hustled, outworked, outboxed. He just didn't really have it, and, you know, he was just relying on landing that one perfect shot, and it never came. There were a couple of moments where he landed a good left hook, but overall, Santiago took them well and boxed a good fight, in my opinion. His only real scare, to my recollection, was the third round when Donaire landed a good left hook. Santiago got a bit too overzealous. Really hard shot. He took it well, actually, but it caused a cut on Santiago's right eye. He also got a cut on his left eye as the fight went on due to an accidental head clash. So he got a couple of cuts, but Santiago, he remained composed, calm, active, etc. And he just outboxed Donaire in this fight. Donaire, you know, he was willing. He took his shots, but the reactions, the timing, the distance, the balance, that was just all way off tonight. And yeah, his age has finally got to the point to where I don't think Donaire can now win at world level. Of course, he can always land a left hook right, but yeah, it's not there anymore. It's not there anymore, you know? And yeah, it's a shame really because, listen, Santiago seems like a real nice kid. I liked his post-fight interview. Very humble, very, you know, giving a lot of credit to Donaire, shouting out his family. Like to see it. Good fighter as well, by the way. Good fighter. But I would have liked to have seen Donaire maybe get a win and retire. But, you know, Boxing life, there's very rarely fairy tale endings. And yeah, I think now it's time for Donaire to call it a day. Post-fight interview, he was insinuating that it's not due to his age, that he just wasn't there tonight, just wasn't flowing. I think he's deluding himself, quite frankly, based on what I saw. I think he needs to retire. Had a great career, 4-weight world champion, oldest bantamweight champion of all time. God knows how many world title fights this guy's had. God knows how many world champions this guy's fought. He's fought above his weight. He's really done it all. He's fought some great fighters in his day, win, lose or draw. So Donaire needs to retire. I think we've all seen enough at this point in time. Had a great career. There's nothing to prove. First ballot Hall of Famer. One of the all-time great punchers in the lower weight classes. And yeah, now it's time to retire. As for Santiago, man, again, I liked his style. Again, I've seen a bit of him in the past, but he boxed a really good fight tonight. Active. He changed his style out throughout this fight. Not so much his style, but he was changing up the distances in which he was boxing. Sometimes he'd stay on the inside, work Donaire. Then he would box behind the jab. He would pressure. He would take a step back. He was mixing and matching, doing a good job. So yeah, Santiago to me put on a good show. And yeah, I'd like to see him fight again. When you're looking at bantamweight, obviously Inoue vacated all the titles. I wouldn't mind seeing Santiago fight someone like Jason Maloney, or even Emmanuel Rodriguez, who's fighting for a world title soon. He's fighting for a vacant title himself soon, in a fight I think he'll win. I'd like to see Santiago against Rodriguez. I think that's the fight I'd like to see. But yeah, share your thoughts below. What did you make of this fight? Definitely time for Donaire to retire. As for Santiago, boxed a good fight. Got his game plan spot on. When he had to show a chin, he showed it, because Donaire did land a couple of good shots here and there. And yeah, Santiago was the worthy winner. I will say I felt the scorecards were way too close. I think a couple were 115, 113, maybe 116, 112, something like that. Apart from the third and maybe one more round, I struggled to give Donaire any rounds really, to be honest. But it is what it is. Good fight for what it was, but yeah, Donaire's done. Donaire's done. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.